Good morning. Hi there if you're watching live, and hello if you're watching the replay. I'm Maddie Harvey. I'm a knitwear designer and knitting teacher. I'm based in Edinburgh, and I love helping knitters develop their creativity and their confidence with their knitting skills through my knitting patterns kits and online events. So this is my weekly Thursday live that I call Knits and Cake for Breakfast, and the idea behind these videos is that before coronavirus and lockdown, I was hosting a weekly knit night on a Wednesday night, and I would always do some baking, and then on a Thursday morning I would have some leftover cake for my breakfast. So I'm just kind of keeping up with that and sharing what I've been working on this week, some kind of behind the scenes stuff. And then I will share, I've got a little tutorial for you today about 3 ways to join yarn in without having to weave in the ends, which I will, if you're watching the replay, I'll put the timestamp in the subtitles that I add afterwards, which will be down there if you want to skip to the tutorial bit. Okay, so I have literally just taken this out of the oven. So this is I was going to say a slice, but it's not really a slice. I cut a square of German friendship cake. Sometimes it's called Herman the German. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's basically a sourdough, like a sourdough starter, but for a cake. And a friend of mine called Nicola gave me a bag of the starter, which I put in my freezer. And then what you do is you can either start it from scratch using some yeast, and you have to basically feed it with milk. I think it's just milk, it might be butter, and it might be, you might have to put some flour in, can't quite remember. You feed it, and then what you do at the end of, I think it's about 10 days, you split it up, and you can give some to your friends, which is why it's called a friendship cake. And I guess it originated in Germany. So I got a bag from my friend Nicola, I put it in my freezer, and then I have used it a couple of times. I've kind of fed it again so that it multiplies, and then what you can do is bake with some of it and give some of it away and put some in your freezer. But this batch was some that was in the freezer, and I just took it out of the freezer last night and just left it on the worktop, and then this morning I added all the kind of cake ingredients to it and baked it. So the recipe is usually you put chopped apples in it and maybe raisins or sultanas, but I didn't have apples, so I just put, what I did on the top was I put some sugar and melted butter and some walnuts on the top and let it bake, and a cinnamon in it. It's tasty, and it's the kind of cake you could have with custard, like a kind of pudding as well. I had to cover the top sort of towards the end of baking so that the walnuts didn't burn, but it's come out really nicely, and I used brown sugar in the mixture, so that's come out well. And I quite like the fact that, you know, it was just kind of sitting there waiting for me to bake with this morning when I got up. So that was a success. I feel like my baking in the last few weeks has been a bit of a disaster, so it's nice to have a success, isn't it? And I've got my cup of coffee in my Marie Curie cup with the blue tits, which was a birthday present from my mum, which is now my new favourite cup. I don't know if it's just me, but do you have a favourite cup? I will quite often wash up the favourite cup just so I can use it. Okay. Oh, right. Ozzy the Owl is asking about my crochet jumper. So actually I was going to talk about that. I'll talk about it just now. I have finished this jumper. This has been on the go for about 2 years. And I finished it this weekend. So it's from this book, Learn to Crochet, Love to Crochet by Anna Wilkinson. And I am not much of a crocheter, really. I've done bits and pieces. but I've never kind of really followed a pattern. Crochet, and I finished this jumper. So it's called Granny Stripe Jumper, and it's got the stripes. So I've used, this is West Yorkshire Spinners Jacob's Aran weight yarn, and I've used a Noro, like a colour changing one for the contrast, and then the sleeves are just plain granny stripes. But what's happened is, obviously with all the colour, I've got all these ends, and I haven't woven them all in yet. So that's why I decided to show you 3 different ways to deal with ends, or to change colour without having to weave them in, because I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself that I've got all these ends in my crochet to weave in, because I don't know, I'm not so much of an expert in crochet that I know how to do it as you go. I'm not sure if that's a thing in crochet, but anyway, yes, Aussie, it's not just you that takes 2 years to finish things. I do that quite often. I have a lot of works in progress around my house, and it takes me a long time to finish stuff, unless it's like a deadline kind of project. I like a deadline. Anyway, so that's the crochet. The other thing I've been working on is my 2-colour Coraline. Let me just grab this. So it's here. So this is my Coraline pattern, and I've been working on this 2-colour one. So basically it's garter stitch in the round with these slip stitches. So what you do if you want to do a 2-colour one is you just use your 2nd colour on the purl rounds when you're doing the garter stitch. And I've tried it on, and I think I need to block it to make sure that the fit is good. So I'm going to do that, but also I'm going to run out of yarn, because I've got this much left of the main colour, and I haven't even finished the body or done the sleeves. So I'm going to have to get some more, and I'm going to run out of the purpley pink, but I don't have any more of that, and it's discontinued. So I think I'll just use a different colour. Maybe make it like a colour block thing, a bit like my Amma sweater. So yeah, so that's, I need to get some more yarn. This yarn is from Laxton's. It's a double knit. I can't remember what kind of wool it is, but it's really nice, and it smells nice and sheepy. Like, not super strong, but just enough to remind you that you are knitting with wool, which I love. So I've been trying to get that finished, but I need to order some more yarn now. Oh, Addie, you're asking about the book. Anna Wilkinson is her name. Learn to Crochet, Love to Crochet. It's from quite a few years ago, but you should be able to find it. I would say it is a Learn to Crochet book, but a lot of the projects are quite big, or they use fine yarn. So I'd maybe it would be good if you already knew how to do a bit of crochet first, I would say, because the jumper is a big project. Even though this was an Aran weight, it still takes quite a long time, and I think if you're a beginner at anything, doing little quick projects is the way to go, so you don't get disheartened. So last Thursday I launched a couple of new workshops which are happening at the end of April this month, and they sold out really quickly. So, but what I've done is I've set up a waiting list. So one class was about knitted necklaces, and the other class was a picking up stitches masterclass. So if you were interested in those and you missed out on a place, please join the waiting list, because you don't have to take a place just because you're on the waiting list, but also it lets me know if there's enough demand for me to run a second class. And I'll only really do a second class if I've got a few people on the waiting list. So if you were interested and you didn't get space, please join the waiting list. If you want to get the links, they're in my well, actually they're via the website maddieharveydesigns.com. So the knitted necklace is, we're going to make something like this during the class. So this is a necklace that I made a long time ago, and I've been trying to recreate it. So I'll show you where I've got to. So we have an I cord, and then short rows to make the shaping. But you can see I've ripped this out quite a few times, so I haven't actually cut any of the yarn, so it's got in a bit of a tangle. And actually this is going to get ripped out because it's still not right. So it will be that way around for wearing it like a necklace, and that will go down. It's flipping up a bit at the moment because it's still on the cable, but yeah. So I've been trying to recreate, count the stitches, work out what I did for the first one, so that I can make another one and just check the pattern. So I've got this basket here, I'll show you, with lots of leftovers in. So I've got a bit of a mixture of some lace weight, some full ply, some mohair, some double knit. So I just kind of picked out lots of leftovers that I had that I like the colours of together, and I'm just kind of holding them a few strands together. So for the pink, what have I got here? I've got 1 strand of lace weight and 2 of full ply. So it gives it a bit more depth to the colour, I think, if you have different strands in there. Oh yeah, so somebody's asking, Vegan Brown Coat, you're asking about the metal clasp. Yeah, you don't have to use a metal clasp. You can just tie, if you leave ends on your I-cord, this is t-shirt yarn, you could just tie it in a knot. I just like I think it gives it a kind of professional look to have the metal clasp, but I have made other ones that I wear that are just tied together, so that would be another option for you. Now I'm just going to move this out of the way because I wanted to show you a couple of ways of joining yarn without having to weave in ends afterwards. So what I need to do is turn my camera around. So let me just move my coral in out of the way with my deluxe project bag. Does anybody else just end up putting their projects in plastic bags? Hopefully it's not just me. Okay, so what I have to do here is turn you around. So let's see, you're going to get a nice view of my ceiling for a moment. And I'm going to show you 3 ways to join in yarn. Actually, do you know what? This is not going to work. I've got a new setup here, and it's making it very difficult to turn the camera around. So what I will do is I will film the little video tutorial separately, and I will add it to the replay when I put it on Instagram later on, usually about lunchtime. So these live videos, I put them on, I add subtitles to them afterwards, and then I put them on my IGTV channel and on my YouTube and on Facebook. So what I'll do is I'll record the little tutorial and I will add it to the replay later on. And if you were interested in the workshops at all, although they're sold out, you could join the waiting list, and then if I have enough interest I could run a second class, and you'll get first dibs on the places. Oh, I'm glad to see I'm not the only one who puts their projects in plastic bags. It's easier to see what's there, I think. Anyway, right. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be back next Thursday morning for another tutorial or top tips. And yeah, workshops, it's maddieharveydesigns.com. Okay, thanks. Bye.